you look at Lamar Jackson and you look at the Baltimore Ravens, if you see with and without Lamar, it's why even with Derrick Henry, even with Kyle Hamilton, even with Baltimore has a hell of a roster. Yes, they've had a bunch of injuries. Baltimore's got one of the best rosters in the NFL, and almost none of it actually matters or makes a significant impact. Good morning, we know the values time and puts God first. Let's get started. So I'd love to come in here and just, praise Lamar Jackson and what the Ravens are able to do. They've now won back-to-back games, one with Lamar, one without Lamar. And I think the storyline of them being able to catch the Steelers for the division, I think we're all aware of that now. So it's unfortunately a doubleheader to start the show where I think it's both negative. So I think two things were hurt yesterday, right? So let's start with the first one. The first one that got hurt yesterday is Jonathan Taylor's MVP chances. Look, I love this. Jonathan Taylor's a hell of a player. Is having a hell of a season. And I think a lot of us do feel like if you're a running back having a historic season, a chance at 2,000 yards, 20-plus touchdowns, or a receiver like Tyreek Hill a few years ago, or Jackson Smith-Njigba this year when you're almost at the cusp of, are you going to break the receiving record? Or if you're a defender who is threatening the sack record, I do feel like, man, it is unfortunate that you've basically been disqualified from being able to win an MVP. But at the same time, if you look at Lamar Jackson and you look at the Baltimore Ravens, if you see with and without Lamar, it's why even with Derrick Henry, even with Kyle Hamilton, even with Baltimore has a hell of a roster. Yes, they've had a bunch of injuries. Baltimore's got one of the best rosters in the NFL. And almost none of it actually matters or makes a significant impact, or you can argue is even close to the value of Lamar Jackson when he plays it, when he does it. They score over 30 points a game when he plays, under 10 when he doesn't. Even just getting competent quarterback play like they got last week with Snoop Huntley, that was enough for them to win the game and look like a competent football team. So if you are Jonathan Taylor, and I think you've had an amazing season, I think you're an amazing player. And I'm not a Daniel Jones guy. I refuse to put the Colts in the get excellent part of our power rankings because of how I feel about Daniel Jones. But at the same time, how am I going to dispute, when the quarterback is there for an NFL team? Like the Colts even. They had the same roster essentially. Quarterback and tight end were the difference. They drafted the tight end Warren and they brought in Daniel Jones. That's the difference in the roster. And look at the difference in their season. Yes, again, I would love a running back who's having a 2,000-yard, or Jonathan Taylor has a chance to get close to the touchdown record set by LT, which is also an insane record that it hasn't been even remotely in jeopardy since 2006. Again, when Tyreek Hill was on pace to get the 2,000 yards receiving a couple years ago, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Myles Garrett, like these other guys who have had these incredible, incredible seasons. And it's like, oh, well, you're just stuck at getting offensive defensive player of the year. That's because at the end of the day, the most valuable position by a mile is quarterback. And the Baltimore Ravens, who have this is how valuable quarterback is, right? The Ravens are 3-5. They are under 500. And their defense, statistically, still the totality of the season has not played well. Yes, they've been playing better as of late, but the totality of the season has not played well. They're the favorites to win their division. For one reason and one reason only. Their quarterback. The Kansas City Chiefs, who weren't even in the playoffs until last week and are the 7th seed right now, are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Because of one reason. Yes, they have Andy Reid. Yes, they have Chris Jones. Yes, they have Travis Kelce. Yes, they've all. Their defense has been playing great. Switch out their quarterback. See who's the favorite for the Super Bowl. The Bills and Patriots, as Drake May continues to get better, play at an MVP level. That's the reason why Josh Allen and the Bills aren't as highly favored as they would be, because Vegas is telling you that division has 2 MVP level quarterbacks. Quarterback is the most important position, and it's not relatively close. I'm sorry, Jonathan Taylor. And then let's go to the other side of last night's game, which is the Miami Dolphins. And look, man, it just doesn't work. I know there's been success. I know I've brought this up a couple times because of obviously how close I follow Denver. Look at Miami's record post the 70-point game. They're under 500. The offense isn't nearly as explosive. Obviously, there's no Tyreek Hill because he's out this year. But if you go back to the beginning of last year, they changed the rules. Now, everybody was hyper-focused on the tush push. Should they do something about that? But the motion rules, the NFL said, we're going to start cracking down on this. Illegal offense, illegal shifts, illegal formations. And the teams that were the most impacted because they ran the most amount of these kind of sets were the Los Angeles Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Miami Dolphins. And the Rams continue to keep making things work because they have Matthew Stafford, and he is a legitimate franchise quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. The 49ers have had some struggles. Now, the 49ers have a base in their ground games when Christian McCaffrey's there. The offense still looks really good and looks great at times. And the Miami Dolphins have just flat out struggled because they don't have an elite running back like Christian McCaffrey. And they don't have an elite quarterback like Matthew Stafford. So Tua's there, Jalen Waddle, and they're trying to run. It's how much can we trick you into thinking this is the right offense? How much can we trick you into gaining plays? The entire game plan is scheme. Yes, there's a handful of offensive geniuses in the NFL. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Kevin O'Connell. But after a certain point, you have to be able to line up, throw the ball, make a play. It can't just be scheming guys open. It's got to be talent. It's got to be your guy's individual ability. And right now, Tua is just not that guy. And they've already paid him. And so I think the Dolphins, realistically, I think more teams, you got to take a play out of Denver's book. You either trade Tua, cut Tua. Yes, you're going to have a massive cap hit. Look at what Denver's dealt with the last 2 years. And I know it's like, oh, it's going to be even more. It's always going to be even more because these salaries keep going up and up. But for the time, Russell Wilson was the largest dead cap hit in NFL history. And the Denver Broncos, because they believed in their GM and they believed in the coach, said, look, we'll do it and we'll figure it out. That's what the Miami Dolphins and more teams need to do going forward because Tua is just not the answer. Great story, has had a good career, all things considered. He's fought himself back from injuries in both the NFL and college. Got nothing against Tua. But every time Tua plays a big-time quarterback, Lamar, Josh Allen, it's just you see the difference. And that can't be your franchise quarterback going forward. It just can't. I mean, if you want to be a part of one of the coolest and most unique communities, don't forget to like and subscribe.